What's up, YouTube world? My name is Sydney, and today I'm going to be giving you a spoiler-free speed review of The 10,000 Doors of January by Alex E. Harrow. Now, the last time I tried to do one of these spoiler-free speed reviews, it was spoiler-free, but it was not speedy. So I'm going to try my best to keep this short, because my last one was like 12 minutes, so let's see if I can keep this under that. Although I do tend to ramble, so, no promises. If I remember, I will leave down below the link to Adrian at Ordinary Reader, who came up with this, and you can watch her spoiler-free reviews on her channel, and she's a great booktuber, so I highly recommend you check her out. So, without further ado, let's get into the video. I did not know much about this book going into it. All that the synopsis of The 10,000 Doors of January says is that January is a curiosity, and she is in the home of a collector of rare and valuable items, and she finds a book whose story parallels her own. So that's pretty much all we know. I'm paraphrasing the synopsis here. I think it also might have mentioned something about how the story had to do with, like, enchanted lands, and that kind of thing. But, yeah, so I really didn't know that much about it. I think I knew that it was historical fiction, and then it took place in the 1800s, but that's really all I knew. So going into it, I wasn't sure what to expect, and that being said, I absolutely loved this book. Like, I would give it a 5 out of 5 stars. It was great, for so many reasons. So I'm going to try my best now to be brief and recap the reasons why I enjoyed it so much, and do so in a non-spoilery way. So here goes. One of the things I loved most about this book was just January as a character. I found her extraordinarily relatable and very human-like, and I know, as someone who is an aspiring author myself, it's really hard to make authentic characters who seem not like character but like real people, and January definitely was that. She has a very lonely childhood, and into her adolescence, she really struggles with kind of finding out I'm trying to say this in such a way where I'm not giving anything away. Finding out how she fits in the fabric of her society and what her society means for her as a person and what she can and can't do because of the society she's in. So I just found that really relatable even to modern times because, obviously we have a lot of social movements right now related to women and gender and race and things like that, and there is inequality that exists. So she struggles with the fact that she's lower class and she's female, and in the early 1900s when this book takes place, those things were huge social barriers to jobs and family roles and obligations. So I found it really timely, those themes in terms of individual versus society and the various social constraints that one is placed on because of society and what that does in limiting their possibilities and potential in the future. So I found her situation really relatable in that way, and just the fact that, she was a young girl and growing up, and often young women and kids in general, but especially women, are not taken seriously by their elders. So obviously in that time period, to the extreme, they're supposed to be seen, not heard. And she was often put on display and for a pet because all these rich noble people would gawk at her and be very condescending. So I just found her character one that I felt very sympathetic for, also one that I empathized with because of, like I said, the whole fact that her society placed constrictions on what she could and couldn't do. And I just thought that her character as a whole was very well written. I also really enjoyed her character development throughout the book. She grows into someone who knows what she wants by the end of the book. She knows what she feels her purpose is, and she knows what she's willing to do for those she loves. So I really enjoyed that. Secondly, that kind of relates, I really enjoyed the setting of this book, and I felt that it was perfect. The time period was perfect for the themes that the book explored. As I said previously, this book takes place in the early 1900s, and I feel like it was just a great time period to set the backdrop of the book in, because it was a time when there were technological advances in things like railroads and automobiles becoming more widely used. It was a time where there was a lot of like great empires becoming more widely expanded. So like the British Empire into West Africa and the East Indies, and those things just served like a great backdrop for the themes of the story in terms of individual freedom versus like, you know, the good of society. So like sacrifice the few for the good of the many kind of thing. So I just think it was a really perfect setting for the story in terms of its historical makeup, and I really enjoyed how she wove the historical details of the setting backdrop into the story in such a way where sometimes they were subtle and sometimes they were more overt, but regardless, like, they meshed really well. And so sometimes, like, I find when reading books that take place in the past, or even the future, like, the descriptions of the world so that the reader gets a sense of what the time period is other than now are too vivid and, like, they take away from the plot. But in this case, it just meshes really perfectly, and I think that the author found a great balance between really making you feel like you were in that setting, so describing the setting vividly enough for that, but not making it too vivid where it takes away from the plot and the personal conflict of our main character. And like I said, that's something that's really hard to do, I know, as someone who likes to write, so kudos to her for that. And then last, but certainly not least, why I love this book so much is because just the idea of, and this is, well, it's kind of spoilery, but not really. It gets into other worlds and other universes. And if there were ever a time where, like, you want to believe that there's other places and other planets and just other realms where there are different societal norms and different problems and different solutions to those problems and different makeups and different possibilities, it's now. I mean, we're in 2020 and the world's falling apart, so, like, to believe that there's other places where people are having different lives is, I think, a really, like, nice thought. So I just love the way the book set up the premise of these other worlds, and again, like, just it struck that balance between describing them in such a way that you feel that they're real, and also not describing them too much where you get mired down in the details and having to understand, like, the complexities of each system. So I really think that the writing in that was great. So I can definitely go way more in depth about that and about some of the character relationships in this book, because I really enjoyed things like January's friendship with Samuel and her kind of like mentor in Jane, so I can go way in depth to those in another spoiler video. So if that's something you guys would like, definitely let me know. And oh wait, one last thing, Sinbad. How could I make a review about this without mentioning Sinbad? Sinbad is January's dog, and I'm a dog freak. I love dogs, so I love this dog. I bought this dog from my own. He's just like, he's so devoted to January. He's always like on her side and willing to protect her against any enemy. And all I'm gonna say without giving anything away is that he's not afraid to bite anybody, whether that person's bigger than him, whether that person's invisible, just like whomever it is. If he's a threat to January, Sinbad will bite him. So I love Sinbad. So read this book for Sinbad if nothing else. But no, honestly, read this book if you like historical fiction, if you like good world building, if you like magical realism, if you like some mystery, because it's not a mystery book, but there's some elements of mystery in it. If you like somewhat fantasy, I would say. So yeah, like I said, it's an awesome book. I would highly recommend it. And if you guys want me to go in depth about anything I mentioned, in more specifics, or just about something in particular, if you guys have read the book and you want to hear something talked about that I didn't say, let me know and I'd be happy to. So if you like this video, please comment, like, and subscribe, and I will see you in my next one. Thank you guys. Bye!